Talking Tesla. Tesla.
I'm not sure if my foot should be on the brake or the accelerator.
They put rings on Elon.
It must be some sort of geometrical algorithm.
I don't think you need to touch the steering wheel there, Tom.
Oh, I'm sure there's some math. So SpaceX, here's the deal. Landing a rocket on a drone ship is key. Charger.
How am I expected to drive a car without autopilot? Safely.
Charger. No, I'm not a good parker, Tom.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit it. I just think that this is a car company that is run by super geeks. All the other cars are going to be stupid cars compared to this car, Tesla.
You don't even have to remember that. You've got a Model X. I have seen the future, and it is light pole charging.
No, I wouldn't call it a screw-up. Do you like your Model X?
God, it's beautiful.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking Tesla 197. Holy moly, we're back again, suckers.
I'm getting sick of us.
I'll tell you this, we've gotten so many 5-star reviews. So many, because I don't think it's because people actually want to hear you say their words, although we did have one young man this week, and we'll get to it. We won't get to it now, who tried to trick us into giving his referral code on this show.
That was hysterical, by the way.
And I will tell you this. If I was him and I was listening to this right now, you can start being infuriated now because it's not going to work. We're not giving away
I think it
your
was
referral
genius.
code. It's so genius. No, it's not going to happen.
Why?
Because it's not.
It's funny.
No, okay. So let me ask you this. If in 2 weeks he sends us another one saying, hey, thanks a lot. I got 6 referrals because of you guys.
I'd be pissed as
right.
hell.
Thank you very much. Like, not
and then,
happening.
Of course, if we do say them, then everybody's going to do the same thing. So
Yeah, but he went and gave up. He
cited it as like 17 different people.
no,
it was
it's two
genius.
different, but yeah, it was still gave
I'm
us.
going to read the first one.
Oh, we're
on
doing the
list.
letters now?
I'm going to read the first one at the top of the show
I think
because
we
we're
should.
talking about just one.
All right.
Just one, because it's from S. Dutcher, and we have no idea where the Dutch are. So let's just assume.
In Holland.
Yeah.
The
Dutch are.
Netherlands.
And the
North Holland
the
or
title of the review is Elon Daily, a show that, I don't know, hasn't been on for months.
while.
We're in the Elon Daily interstitial period right now. Me and Robert had an interbridge moment today.
That's right.
And we talked about the interstitials, which we thought, and then the intertestament also came
period,
up.
one of my favorite periods.
Yeah.
As opposed
So-
to the intertitle.
So S. Dutcher writes, Elon Daily, very much enjoy your podcasts. Thanks for your insight on EVs. And this is probably, the end of it is probably the most poignant part of this. Don't be afraid to branch out from Teslas. Something that we have never been afraid of, but the problem is the name of the damn show is Talking Tesla as opposed to something a little more all-encompassing in the world of electronic vehicles, mostly because at one point when we started this show, well, the rest of the electronic vehicle world was...
Why do you call them electronic?
Are they not electronic?
They're electric.
Is there a difference between electronics and electric?
Electronic makes me seem like a
circuit
German band of music with tight pants.
All right. Electric vehicles. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
I like
apologize.
electric better too.
I apologize. I
Please
won't use
don't-
the word electronic.
Please don't let that happen again.
I won't.
I find it.
I apologize.
I'm Dieter. Now we dance.
So thank you
Saturday
very
Night
much for
Live.
your 5-star review, S. Dutcher. And so now it's Talking Tesla 197. Mel is here. Robert is here.
Here.
Joel. Where the are you, Joel?
Joel, you okay? Where are you, man? Joel.
So a little while ago, me and Robert were enjoying some Sunday. We went and visited a local manufactory, and then we visited a local eatery together. And
where'd you go to eat?
We were oddly we won't tell because it was terrible.
You didn't invite me. That's nice.
It was you wouldn't have liked it,
Yeah.
but you're.
They did.
I wouldn't have come.
But they did make a taco, and you know what the title of the taco was? Cabeza.
Robert is like
Head cheese?
It's almost as if you've never been to a taco stand before when you say things like that.
I've
Because
never seen cabeza.
Every like most street taco stands in LA have cabeza and lengua and tripas.
Lengua I've had, yeah, but not cabeza.
When I was in
it's a whole
Chile
other thing.
and they had
When Was it cold there?
Head cheese, and it's gross.
That's just mean. It's not gross. It wasn't to your taste. There's a difference.
My culture is the right culture. My foods are the best foods.
They are.
Everything else shall be judged against that and put down whenever possible.
Do Australians eat things such as the witchy grub?
Yes, you can eat them, but they taste like from the movie?
What other things of your culture would you like us to ridicule?
We have the McDonald's. It's part of Australian culture.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do they have any special items at McDonald's in Australia? What would be the
Vegemite
go-to
hamburger? Delicious.
What? So did they put Vegemite on the bun?
I'm lying. No.
That's disgusting. Okay.
Or they have roux burgers.
Roux burgers. Yeah, they probably do, mate.
Is it Jack in the Box? Oh, that was a long time ago. Probably nobody was like, we're like, oh, look at that reference. It's so vague. What were we talking about? We're talking about
cabeza tacos.
We're talking about cabeza. Robert was being culturally insensitive.
Yeah, I had everything except the cabeza taco.
You had everything but the kitchen sink. Yeah, you had the lengua, you had the al pastor, you had the pollo, you had the asada. And none of it was good, Robert.
The fish.
It's all dry.
Good. We didn't have the fish. It was a little dry. A very busy place in beautiful Glendale, California.
Called El Pollo Loco?
No. Wasn't called El Pollo Loco. No.
Okay.
They just sell chicken there, I think. I don't know. I haven't been to El Pollo Loco in a long time.
It's delicious.
Is it?
One of my favorite go-tos.
You a fan?
I love it.
What's your go-to there?
I have the avocado chicken sandwich or avocado chicken wrap, they call it.
Sandwich or wrap? Those are very different things.
It's a wrap. And it's got avocado and chicken, which you probably weren't expecting.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. This show's already jumped the shark pretty heavily. So you're saying that the avocado chicken wrap / sandwich / I'm not sure what it is at El Pollo Loco, the two key things that you remember being on it are chicken and avocado?
Amazing.
Those two things. Interesting.
Amazing.
Interesting.
I was drawn to it because of those ingredients. Sure enough, they were in there.
And they did not disappoint.
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to finish up the Supercharger report while you guys are bantering and my eyes are watering too much.
So we have the non-existent Vegemite taco. Oh, well, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about you were being culturally insensitive.
Yes.
Not a rarity. Not a rarity on this show. And we're asking about maybe the unusual things that other people might think that the Australian culture has that is unusual.
Right.
Witchy grub was the thing I mentioned, and that may have been culturally insensitive. I don't know, but I think it is a thing, a food thing.
Well, it's from the native people.
Okay, that's good.
Back in the day.
Okay.
What else do we eat? I mean, it's Vegemite. I'm trying to think.
Do you guys eat kangaroo?
That's pretty much it.
Is that
you can get kangaroo meat, but growing up, that was just not something that you ate. I think it was gamey. But now you can get, kangaroo jerky and all that stuff when you get ours.
But like a lot of lamb, right?
Oh, we like our lamb.
Yeah.
We like to kill them young and eat them.
Gyros? You have gyros in Australia?
Yes, we do.
Nice. Do you guys, is there like a chain called We Could Be Gyros?
That's not funny.
It's really not.
There's a lot of good food in Australia, Tom.
Yeah,
you should go down there.
I would love to. Maybe one day you'll invite me. I mean, I would doubt it because we won't even invite you to tacos around the corner. So like the chances of us getting invited to, Australia
pretty much close
pretty
to zero.
slim. Yeah. Plus, I've been on a 14 to 18 hour flight with you, and you're not super like interactive with a person you're flying with.
No.
You're like, oh, are you sitting there? These are my headphones, and this is my eye mask.
Yeah.
Later.
Mm-hmm. And bring me some more shoddy, for God's sake.
I'll see you when we get there. Please wake me up.
Exactly.
I'm going to say hello to the ambient butterfly now.
You know me so well, Tom. Actually, I don't do ambient. I do alcohol. Let's be real.
Yeah, I know, but I was trying to be a little nicer to you.
Okay, let's go. Let's start the show. Come on.
So the news, the biggest news of the day as it relates to this show is the last time we met, it was post Santa Monica Supercharger meeting where Robert played a starring role in trying to just strong arm the Santa Monica Planning Commission, who
Exactly.
apparently
Planning Commission.
the Santa Monica Planning Commission has as much sway over what happens in Santa Monica as this can of sparkling water that I'm currently drinking on this show, because they approved it. And then
After 3 hours of debate.
after 3 hours of debate and asking a whole lot of, in hindsight, really terrible questions.
Yeah, but I think in hindsight, the 45 minutes they spent trying to convince the Tesla representatives that they needed to build an apartment building or some sort of housing above the supercharger, which, frankly, those of us in the Tesla world were kind of puzzled about, but that was so telling in the end.
But I felt like, so then the city council got on board with this whole situation, and they basically took a giant U-turn and turned this thing on its ear. So this is a story from Teslarati.com, although my guess is you could probably find this in numerous outlets of the news situation.
You're
But they're
aware that nobody cares, right?
They're basically in lockstep with my thinking.
Yes.
Is that like we have a housing crisis? We
Yes.
don't necessarily have a where can I charge my electric vehicle crisis. Not saying that's not important. Again,
Why?
I'm not saying it's not
Why would
important.
we conflate those two together? Yes,
Because you
we
can
have
put a
both.
charger on a light pole, but you can't put an apartment on a light pole. How about that?
Yeah. I don't know that
So
anybody's...
this is the only place you can put a housing project.
No,
the
it's not.
only
No,
place.
that's a good. You know what? That's an excellent point. But regardless
Like,
of
do you think that
our politics
the
behind this, hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on. I apologize. The Santa Monica City Council basically took a U-turn and they said no to the tentative approval that the Planning Commission gave. And so Robert's going to give you guys the details and his very, very smart opinions as it pertains to this. But they basically decided they were going to change the zoning at some point in Santa Monica, and that now all projects are on hold. Is that generally what we're looking at, Robert?
Yeah, so the city council, the power that they had not to incur like the wrath of Tesla by just stopping this one project, stopped all building. I believe it was all non-housing building in Santa Monica because of an emergency that they equate to the lack of housing. And my understanding is that in the next, they pulled all projects, so nothing can be built right now for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And what I'm told is that in 1 year's time, they're supposed to come out with a new housing plan. And one of the problems that they're having at this particular site where Tesla was going to install the largest V3 supercharger in the world was that it was a beautiful location for housing. And they could have put like 5 stories up, and I'm not exactly sure what the limits were. I think it might have only been 4 stories. But the bottom line was that any builder could not build enough units on that piece of property or the 2 pieces of property that Tesla was going to occupy to make it financially viable. So the city could not strong arm the owner, nor could they entice anybody to make an offer on the property to build housing there because they couldn't build enough to make it financially viable. And this is one of the reasons why, in hindsight, the Planning Commission was trying to kind of strong arm or push Tesla into creating some sort of a housing development along with superchargers. Tesla representatives said very flatly that they were not in the housing business and that wasn't part of their business model. So they declined to make any kind of a concession for housing. And in the long run, when it got to the city council, the project died. And at this point, Tesla, to my understanding, has a 15-year lease on the property without the city allowing them to build superchargers on the property. So this is kind of a screwed up situation for Tesla.
Well, maybe. I mean, I guess it depends on the contingencies within that lease, whether or not it was based on approval of the plans going forward, right? My guess is that when they signed the lease, there was probably something in there about the CUP, the conditional use permit. And again, if you're not from Los Angeles, we apologize.
Thank
but the
you.
question, but it's important because these supercharging things are coming to a community near you. If you're listening to this, it doesn't matter where you live.
No,
In the next
I've
10
got
years,
the solution,
if the-
and the solution is easy. All of the gas stations are going away. We'll put the superchargers there, Tom.
Okay, no, that's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
You've been to a lot of superchargers, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Every supercharger station I've been to, pretty much larger, different traffic flow than any gas station I've been to. Gas stations that I've been to have 8 pumps. Superchargers have 24, 25. So they're set up differently. I don't agree or disagree with you. I think that's a perfectly acceptable solution, except we're not doing that now. We're not going to take down a gas station and put a charger up. What
We should.
a lot of communities need are inexpensive housing, and I don't know if low-income housing is part of this. Like, that's the other sort of shoe that we don't know that's dropped
Well,
as
this
it pertains to Santa Monica.
City of Santa Monica makes anybody who's going to develop a property create a certain percentage of low housing units.
Low-income housing.
Low income units, which you have to apply for. And there's a couple of buildings near me actually that are just low income units. But I expect that if somebody's going to develop like 4 or 5 large buildings, then they'll buy a smaller spot, put all the low income over there.
Which goes completely against the nature of how that law
Yes.
was written, and
Yes.
it happens all over Los Angeles, and
Yes.
it really sucks, actually, in my opinion, to do
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah.
But so
But it's a big
over.
disappointment. And it sounds like there are no real legal remedies. But what has been suggested is that if you, Talking Tesla listener out there, are one of the 980 Tesla owners in Santa Monica, you could go on the Santa Monica City website and pull up the email for each of the city council members, and you could send them all the same email, but just send one to each of them about how you own a Tesla, how this affects you. If you live in an apartment or a condo or a building in which you cannot, for example, your work, if you work in Santa Monica, if you can't charge where you work or sleep, and the supercharger would be integral to your driving more electric miles, then send them an email, please, and help to convince them that this is important. This is not some vanity project for a bunch of rich, snobby Tesla drivers, that this is really important to moving the electrification of transportation forward.
I agree with that part of it for sure.
I have seen the future.
Right.
And it is light pole charging. Hey, before we go any further, can I do something that might be of interest to even fewer people? No, more people?
Fewer people
I
than
found that the subset of people that live in Santa Monica-
980 people this is impacting
Yeah,
directly.
that's a lot of people.
Oh, it's so upsetting. I found a website.
Really? Does it start with www?
Yeah.
Wow. So you found it on the World Wide Web?
I found it on the internet.
Wow. That's great.
And this is, you can, for California, and I'm sure this is in lots of other states and in other countries, you can in real time see what energy is being used for your state. So in California right now, we're doing 20,000 megawatts of usage, 11,000 of which over 11,000 is renewables. During the day today, when the sun was at its peak, we were at 85% renewables in California. And I just find
What's
this
the
very
mix?
exciting. So mostly solar, a lot of wind. There's some
What was the
batteries?
hydro part of that, if you don't mind me
hydro.
asking?
They said small hydro. Let me hang on a second.
Small hydro.
Hang on, let me get the renewable mix here.
That's exciting to hear.
It's interesting. Like,
Coal.
did we have a segue?
Coal, 0.1%. No, I was just bored with this. And Coal was 0.1%.
Thank God, because it was enough. We'd actually
Geothermal,
That doesn't
pretty good.
That doesn't
Geothermal's
include all the
good.
barbecues today, Sunday,
Biogas.
first Sunday of spring.
biogas. That all came from you.
Yeah, it came from my buttocks. And then that thing called small hydro. I don't know what small hydro is.
hydro. That's like, so basically, like what happens is you take a glass of water and you pour it,
It's slowly.
and then
It heats up your house from the
it
friction.
It turns a little wheel.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So let's go on to the next thing. So did that work? Did that work? So we can move on.
Yeah, it worked really, really nicely. So the next
thank you, Mel.
thing that you may have noticed if you're a follower of the Talking Tesla Twitter, is that some time ago, our newest member, who I would like to refer to as we move forward as Rogue One, his name is Joel. Sadly, he's not here to defend himself, and by sadly, I mean I'm not sad about that at all. Sadly, he's not here to defend himself, but he changed the logo of this show on our Twitter feed, and he added a crown, like not a crayon, because I know how to say that word properly, but a crown, not the one in your mouth, the teeth, like a royalty crown.
Not a punch to the head like you crown somebody.
No.
Not like having a baby when you're crowning.
Oh,
None of those.
there's so many.
We can go on.
The English language is so complicated. Yeah, no. He added a crown to our logo, and I would like to say this to you, Joel, and I know you're listening. That crown needs to go away. If it doesn't go away, you will go away.
Oh, throw down.
Smack
Wow,
down.
bad things are happening here.
Because
at Talking Tesla.
because we're recording this show right now. It's fun. It's bantery. It's back and forth.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Where's Joel's voice? It doesn't. He's not here. It doesn't. We love Joel,
You're
but the
saying that-
logo is ridiculous, and the logo needs to
What
go.
is the story behind the logo,
It's
Joel?
because of Elon and his new. He called himself the Techno King, is what I believe. Joel is making he's pandering to the lowest common denominator in the Tesla sphere.
Will it get us more listeners?
I actually hadn't considered that.
I was just going to say, 'cause if it does, maybe that's okay.
So you're saying if it's the crown and more listeners or me,
you're out, dude.
the crown stays.
I saw it and I'm like, I wonder who did that. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. We should actually change the logo more often as a little Easter egg. Easter eggish.
See, now I like that idea better than I like keeping this crown.
Should I talk about my experience?
Can next week be the crayon?
Crayon.
Or the crowning baby. What do
So
you, it could be anything.
I was working, so I'm not looking at Twitter when I'm working, and I get home and I just started to quickly scroll, and I was like, I'm getting these Twitter alerts from this entity called Talking Tesla with a crown on it, and I thought, who the F is ripping off our logo?
It was Joel.
And messing with us. And then I thought, wow, maybe I should be flattered about this. And then I realized, wait, that was Joel. And I sent him a text right then and there. And I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, the nice thing about it is that he didn't ask any of us.
Yeah.
We give him the
little bit-
password
You give him a little bit
to
of
the
power.
social media,
It just goes out of control.
and he just
You know what he also is probably going to do next? Storm the Capitol building. I mean, this is where this is headed.
Wow,
This is where
I'm
this
not
is
going
headed.
there. And now he's sick, and I'm holding up my air quotes. He's like, "Oh,
I'm the king.
you guys just go do the show, and
I'm
I'll just
sick.
I'll just reap the benefits of being on this show, which are
Which are
vast,
vast.
vast benefits."
So does that mean
Name
that
one. Name one benefit. Give me one benefit.
does
I
that
had a little snack of Power Up High Energy Trail Mix. That was on you, my friend.
Oh, that's why it's happening.
Percomatic. Actually, you owe me. Actually, I even bought Robert Taco, so I'm actually down for this particular show.
Yeah.
I'm getting my iPad charged. Maybe that.
Yeah, I'm getting my card charged.
He's getting, So there's huge perks.
So
to
many
being on
perks.
this
Joel
show.
doesn't get any of those perks
getting
though,
nothing.
because he's in.
So
I
he
brought-
gets to give him the crown.
I even brought some tequila, maybe for the next show.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we never do tequila on the first. Oh, not that we're recording 2 shows in a row.
No.
no,
Not
we
that
don't
that's
do that.
happening.
That
That is
doesn't
not
happen.
happening.
So does this mean that we need to designate the master of logos?
We should debate that.
We could. We.
See what I did just there?
So let's talk about the core reason why this happened. So Elon, he loves the Twitter. He's a fan. He's good at it until he's not, and when he's not very good at it. In this particular instance, there's all these CEOs. It's kind of a thing. They have all this fun, And they like to change their corporate monikers. There's people out there that call themselves Chief Monster Maker. I don't know what company that is. Chief Troublemaker. That would probably be me in this particular situation. Chief Pillow Officer. We won't talk about that guy. We know who that is.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And then we have Elon calling himself Techno King. So he didn't even use Chief. He just called himself Techno King as if Tesla has a lock on all technology. Does it? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But again, it's
Michael Jackson was the king of rock. Was he
no,
really?
he was not. He was the king of pop.
Pop.
And yes, he was.
Wasn't Elvis? Wasn't Elvis the king?
Have you ever heard Thriller?
Thriller was good. I'll give you
For
that.
goodness sake.
Who is the king of rock then?
Elvis.
I know that Howard Stern's the king of all media.
He is. Well, except for us.
Okay. He doesn't podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
would you like a segue?
No, but
Here's the segue.
Elon,
Do the next story.
but Elon also had a designated who was it on the team was the master of coin
Yes.
after the Bitcoin purchase. Master of
the
coin.
master
yeah,
of coin.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it, Mel? And you just wanted to move on.
There's a master of coin at Tesla.
master of
Wow.
So
The
this is
planet's dying and we're talking about this.
That's true. That is
Yeah,
bullshit.
very true.
This next section is typically what OS version are you rocking? And we're going to skip it because it sucks.
Yeah.
Mel doesn't like it. The release.
It was to set up a joke that has been used many times.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel, what's yours? Oh, you don't have a Tesla. And then we do some ribbing. It's done.
No,
Finish with that.
Well, we did a couple of times fun with release notes, and now Tesla's release notes suck ass.
Yeah, they don't say a whole lot except about them snooping on you.
Yeah.
Please.
You want to talk
explain.
about that now?
Should we?
Yeah,
I mean, it
please.
does go with the release
It's
notes.
a really beautiful segue, honestly.
I thought it was.
Wow.
That's why I
Just
injected
doing
it.
really
She's
nice
so
job.
That's why I-
smooth.
Smooth like butter.
I interdigitized it.
Ooh, interdigitized. That's
Yes.
that's a whole other word.
So the question is Tesla snooping or do they plan to snoop?
Define snooping.
Well, it's a white dog and he dances
That's
around.
Snoopy.
Oh.
Snoopy.
Oh, Snoop Dogg?
Oh,
different.
I
Snoop
gotta
Dogg's a rapper, isn't he?
I have to fix this
Yeah.
then.
He's in business with Martha Stewart.
And he does a lot of weed.
But he also does a lot of good in the community.
That's fun.
Well, I mean, don't lead with he does a lot of weed.
I don't say
If he
that
does
as
a lot
or-
of good things, and then you're like, he does a lot of weed.
I
Yeah.
don't say that as a good or bad thing. That's on you.
Oh.
I said he does a lot of weed. That could be he does a lot of weed. That's fantastic. Or he does a lot of weed. That's not so great.
So he does a lot of weed could be like you think Snoop is sitting in his house and he's like donating all these money to like local
Mel,
kids
Can I
charities.
interest you in that shovel out there? 'Cause your hole is getting
and he's like a multi-Grammy winning artist, multi-platinum
Yeah.
winning. He's a philanthropist.
He's
He's
on
a
television
TV
all the time.
star.
Yeah.
And you lead with he does a lot of weed, and you think he's sitting at home going like this. Yeah, that's right.
Actually, it's exactly what he would say.
He might.
Have you
He
seen him
actually
talk?
might. He actually might. Anyways, so snooping, not Snoopy.
So in electric, they have a nice article which I've now rapidly, what do they call that?
I don't know.
Red?
I abstracted it. That was the
you
word I was looking for.
rapid abstraction.
So the program of Tesla's insurance, which has been around about a year. In fact, I just got my renewal, right? I got on the Tesla insurance bandwagon very quickly.
You're an early adopter, as they say.
I'm a very early adopter. And in fact, I sent you guys a text saying, hey, I got my Tesla insurance renewal. Guess how much it went up? And Joel said $42.69.
Which I think he meant to say 420.69.
He might have, but that would be really a lot because you only pay it 6 months at a time.
Yeah. That would be a lot, but
Yeah.
you
But
are
I thought
known
I was
to
expecting-
drive cars fast.
I was expecting to hear like percentages.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say
Yeah.
3%.
Mel?
6.4%.
Joel?
Joel?
4.2%.
That didn't sound anything like Joel. That's just ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, he said he was under the weather.
So
Okay,
this
so-
is going up from the last period that you paid the
it was
thing?
only from the first year was all the same rate. They
Yes.
just did the second 6 months at the same.
Okay.
And so now I'm getting a brand new rate
Yes.
for my second year with them.
with the same car.
the same car. Nothing's changed.
Okay.
Or maybe nothing's changed. And it was less than 1%.
Less than 1%. It
It
seems
was
like they shouldn't
almost
have even bothered.
unchanged. Yeah. Well, but it's all done electronic, so it's not like they have to type on a machine or they have to really do anything. Maybe they did nothing.
Yeah.
So it was like a rounding error.
Okay.
And so now the question is, how is Tesla going to set its insurance rates? So in this article, they note that Tesla brokers its insurance through State National Insurance. Who is this, whatever,
Like a
nondescript-
good neighbor, State National is there.
And they have access to more individual driver data than any automaker or insurance company, right? Because the cars are very connected. They've been working with this Atlanta-based insurance executive to expand their insurance footprint. Mm-hmm. He was at a conference in Chicago, and this was just a couple of days ago. He was talking about plans that Tesla has with its insurance plan. And he said, I quote, "The data is there. It's all there. Cameras in and all around your car. All of the data points are there. It really comes down to case law and how much of that data we can utilize. It would have to be a state-by-state proposition." And what he's talking about is using the camera in your car to watch you. Are you looking down? Are you looking away? Are you asleep? To look at your cameras to see how well you're driving. What are your use of autopilot versus not use of autopilot, disengagements, all the sort of data that comes with potentially great, safe driving or not.
Do you think you think that data matters, that they're watching you inside the car? See, I would say
That's what
they're
Google
looking at-
did.
I think they're looking at like what's the average speed limit of where you are and how much are you over?
Speed limits are speed limits, right? They're printed on a sign.
No, but the average.
You're talking about the
I
average.
was trying to make a point.
Make
but,
a
I mean,
point.
That's okay. I mean,
Point
I would,
away.
but I was in the middle of making a point when you decided to interrupt
I hate
me.
it when your parents start fighting.
The average amount you were over the speed limit,
Okay.
in a period. So let's say for 3 months you're driving some places 55, some places you're driving 70,
Right.
35. What's the average you're over the speed limit? That could be an easy thing
Okay.
to mark, as opposed to sitting there like watching a million people drive around and see if their eyes are on the road.
Right.
Who's doing that? That doesn't seem normal, but they would know like lane departures, right? Because every time, if your lane departure warning is on, and my guess is they could track this even if it's off, your car vibrates, so that something's that data is being collected.
Right.
Lane departure
So
data.
much data.
Right. And so speed data, how close you're following other cars, like these seem to me the things that would be important as opposed to watching inside. But what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's data on whether you smash into a truck, for example, could be useful.
Yeah, but that data seems obvious. That's the obvious
Whether you
data.
smashed into another car. They could collect
Is that different than a truck?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Whether
the same
whether
data.
you
You
smashed
just-
into a wall, whether you ran over a bunch of kittens. I mean, that's the
How
kind
would
of-
they know you ran into a bunch of kittens?
Because of the cameras. They could search and see if there were kittens everywhere.
So, but how do they do that physically? How do they do that search? That's a lot of video to comb through, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
AI.
Okay. So,
Look
like,
for the dead
tappity,
kittens.
tappity, tap. Look for kitten accidents. Sometimes it's almost as if you're not paying attention. Sometimes I feel like you say things that you haven't actually thought about in any way, shape, or form.
What gives you
All right, Robert, let's continue. So anywho, so they're gathering data. People are, I guess I would say, up in arms. I would potentially be up in arms about this. I don't have a huge issue with it, but I think it should be an opt-in, opt-out thing,
Yes.
potentially.
We hope.
And it's not. And according to some folks on the Twitter, the new software update 21.4.12 added insurance telemetry, even though if you click on release notes in your vehicle, dink,
Yeah,
it's not there.
Right.
It's not there. It's hidden somewhere.
This is an interesting, broader discussion.
Ooh.
For example, there's a guy called Tiger Woods. Perhaps you've heard of him.
T-Dub.
Greatest golfer of all time. flipped his car at probably high speed, and the cops were saying, well, we want to get the black box to see what happened.
Yeah.
First of all, when did cars start having black boxes?
I don't know that.
Second of all,
I don't know that we call them black boxes.
That's what the police sergeant called.
Yeah.
Second of all, what's the legalities around pulling that data out and taking a looky look?
Right. If he didn't kill somebody or ruin somebody's property, well, maybe he ruined a signpost, which is worth $2,000.
Yeah, but I mean, he could pay for that. No
Right.
problem.
So do you sign, when you buy the car, do you sign a thing saying, yeah, you can track me?
Oh, absolutely not. No, my guess is that if they tried to get that data, that any halfway decent lawyer would say they couldn't have it. My guess is it's not part of getting a driver's license. It's not part of buying a vehicle. It's just data that's in there that could be potentially subpoenaed in a criminal or civil suit, which there is not in this particular case. So what is the benefit in this particular one-off situation about the second greatest golfer of all time, Tiger Woods?
Do we have to do this?
We're not on this show. We can do it
This
privately.
week in Jack versus Tiger.
I mean, Jack Woods.
But it is interesting, like how much data
Yeah.
are they allowed to do? Car companies in general, the
Yeah.
tracking gets more and more. How much of our data do we give away? Like when I sign up for Google's and Apple, I know that somewhere in that 300,000 page thing that I do not read, it says we're tracking you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least I know that. But I didn't know my car was tracking me.
Well, but since Tesla's came out, and I got my first one in 2013, and it was connected via cell to give me the directions, or at least, it just showed you. It didn't actually drive you. But the early Teslas had that, and everybody debated whether or not Tesla was snooping on you. Did they know how fast you were going? Did they know if you were being extra playful or not? And a lot of people debated that.
Hold on. What exactly is extra playful when it pertains to driving a car?
Well, if you're being frisky with the accelerator.
Oh, Robert mode.
There's Mad Max mode, and then the next mode is Robert mode.
Nice. After I just drove you here safely to and fro.
See these knuckles? Look, they're still white.
Oh my God. And so that debate has been going on, but Tesla has never been they have never been like a tattletale on anybody.
That we know of.
I don't know. There's a big contingency of Tesla fanatics who follow, I'm one of them, a lot of what's out there.
Yeah.
And, even when the first guy in Florida was watching Harry Potter and drove underneath the semi, they didn't release a whole lot. They just were very vague about it. They said,
Except we know that you just said that we know that he was
that was from the
watching-
police who found a DVD player from his dashboard.
Okay.
There was that. Well, the Chinese military are not going to let their people drive Teslas.
Gee, you're so good at
Did
this.
you see that?
Amazing.
So good at this. You're so good at You're like,
I'm like a segwologist. Which is somebody who-
Segwologist.
Segwologist?
It's a new
Wow.
word I just made
That
up. A
is
segwologist.
Very impressive.
I'm gonna from now on, I'm calling Mel Segwally.
Maybe he's the
Segwally.
segwologist in chief. Chief segwologist.
We're going to put that logo over the top.
Technologist. Technologist.
This show's so dumb sometimes.
It is.
All
But
right.
why isn't the Chinese government going to let the Chinese military drive Teslas?
Let me ask you this question. This is a bigger question. Me and Robert were sort of discussing this on the way over in a way in which you hate because it's the show before the show, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah, but
we
Tesla
have the capability-
Tesla was listening in, watching us
we
the
have
whole time.
We have the capability of talking about things more than once. But so there's this whole thing about the Tesla.
So we're talking about a Reuters article. Tesla cars banned from China's military complexes on security concerns. Go.
because of the cameras attached to the car. Now, my question is, there's two things happening here. I imagine that also U.S. military bases or UK military bases wouldn't be super stoked to have a bunch of cars with cameras on them. Potentially. Wait for it. Also, Area 51, right? Like that place doesn't even exist. What if you drove a Tesla on it and it was like Area 51 canteen? You're like, oh my God. Good. But Teslas aren't the only cars in the world with cameras on them. So what the hell is this about?
They're going to have to catch up because all of the cars are going to have all of the cameras from now on.
Right. Like there's multiple cars with multiple cameras
GM
around
One
them.
Star. OnStar.
Yeah. GM OnStar with location information on them.
So what's the real story behind this
I don't
story?
know.
I think what the real story is, they're going to have to tell that one dude who's been working all on that top secret in the back that he cannot drive his Tesla up into his office.
Robert's idea on the way over, and it's a good one. It's not. Robert's idea on the way over was that, let's say you're driving any car, Tesla specifically, and you show up and you knock on the door of the Chinese military base, which apparently sounds like a tin can. And then before they lift the gate, they walk around and they put tape over all of your cameras.
Do you think they could have a special device that scrambles all of the video cameras?
Yeah.
They would if it was a movie.
Like a whisk?
A movie, a whisk?
Scramble?
Oh my God.
No.
Or maybe they could just put a little scrambled egg that was just recently whisked on the cameras. That would smear it all up.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, or to go back to the Santa Monica thing a couple weeks ago, people were asking for Tesla like geofence things. Like if it gets here, the cameras get turned off.
Right.
But I don't know. Again, all of this is interesting, right? Like I can see this being an issue potentially, but it could be an issue for all sorts of things, not necessarily just military things. Like my car, for instance, is parked, on the street one day, and somebody gets into an accident right near it and maybe activates sentry mode. And they start like trying to gather video from that general area. Can they take that video from my vehicle?
CIA goes to Tesla and says, we need a backdoor to every one of your
CIA
cameras.
asks. Hilarious.
May we have access to every camera on every car that is driving around so that we can do even more Snoop Dogging?
Let's not call it Snoop Dogging. That's terrible.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Because I got news for you. The three of us are sitting around a table right now.
Actually, we're standing.
We're standing around a table right now.
Excellent.
We have
Accurate.
Microphones attached probably to the internet in some way.
Yes. Uploading
All of our
constantly.
devices have cameras attached to them.
Yes.
Oh,
Mine's closed. I have a little camera sheath
Now
cover
nobody will know where you are. Tom.
for protection.
Great.
You're not gonna put me in the basement, are you? That's gonna tell you. So
and we're broadcasting out to anybody who's dumb enough
we
to
actually
listen.
want anybody to
Yes.
listen to this.
Do you have
show.
Google on your phone?
Hey Google, what's Tesla's stock price?
Turns out that if you are running like an instance of Google, which is a very good assistant, it can tell where you're going to be in an hour from now with about 98% accuracy. It's too late. They're tracking us.
Yeah.
I remember the
constantly.
first time I found like a page of like where have you been on Google kind of a thing.
Oh, right.
Where they like
New York Times did that.
where they track like
Yeah, they looked at ping.
I was like
They just saw raw ping
holy
data.
moly, but it was like mapped.
So what these guys in the New York Times, and we covered this story. This was months ago. They just followed pinging data. They knew where the nuclear power plant was up the Hudson River from New York City. They looked at the pings there. They could follow all the pings to the pings' homes. And from that, they could tell where all of the techs who worked at the nuclear power station lived. Now, how disturbing is that? This is public data that you can, with a little bit of knowledge, figure that out. And now, what's the chances that somebody's going to now I'm thinking about the story where some spy agency dumped a bunch of thumb drives out in a parking lot that was frequented by people who were from some spy agency, and people just picked these things up. Like, oh, wow, somebody must have lost this. And they went home. They put the thing in their computer to see if there was anything on it because they were curious, or they thought they could just erase it and use it. And meanwhile, all this spyware was downloaded, and, oh, yeah, you got your thumb drive right there. Where did that one come from?
I found it in a parking lot.
Oh, no.
There's some good stuff on here.
Yeah.
A bunch of free movies.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm sure. So you give that to somebody, and while you're watching the movie, it's scouring everything and opening your anus to the world.
Hello. Wow, that got dark.
Wow.
That got very, very dark.
What was his name? Snowden?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The social
What the
dilemma.
hell are we talking about?
We've
right
gone
now?
way down because we were talking about China, military, security, snooping,
Yeah.
and Elon Musk's response, which was he was doing some kind of a seminar with a Chinese physicist, and his response was, there is a very strong incentive for us to be very confidential with any information. And he further said, if Tesla used cars to spy in China or anywhere, we would get shut down. And as it is, Tesla sold almost 150,000 cars last year in China, which is 30% of its global market. So Tesla doesn't want to mess with that sort of golden goose.
But the deal isn't Tesla, right? As Mel astutely brought up, which is very rare for him.
At the moment it is, but it is a bigger story.
It's a bigger story, but the issue isn't like should Tesla, if the cameras are on and they're gathering data and that data is going anywhere, that data is vulnerable. Period.
Yes.
End of story.
That's true.
Right? Regardless of whether Tesla's spying on them or not. And maybe even if Tesla is like, look, we would never do that. If it exists,
Yes.
it's able to do it. So then what does that mean? Does that mean no cars with cameras can go anywhere sensitive ever?
Yeah, and it's not even the company Tesla or the company General Motors or whoever makes the car, NIO, for example. It could be just a rogue employee who's been compromised by some sort of foreign spy agency. I mean, it's like there's just so many holes in the sieve.
Yeah. So what is your take on it? Like, what does that mean? I mean, it's like we can't solve it, so let's not worry about it. I mean,
No,
obviously it's
if
an
I
issue.
ran some sort of a top secret military installation. So let's take this example.
How many do you run?
I toured SpaceX with you, in fact, Tom.
Multiple
we toured
times.
SpaceX, yes. And when you get there, they say, you must sign this NDA and a release, and you have to
signed
turn
it,
off your
Homer
phone.
Simpson.
Turn off your phone, no cameras, no recording. So if you walk into a place, which is that place it is a military installation.
That's
of
true.
sorts.
We didn't even get to see the
So
stuff in the bag.
they also should say you cannot drive your Tesla in here with its 8 cameras.
Right.
Period.
Well, you'd run over one of the
So
rockets.
leave your car. That's
Keep it inside.
you're going to run it into that Raptor engine. Leave your car outside the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Get in a tram, and then go in.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. I mean,
Right,
it's
but
so
if that's going to be
silly.
if that's a modern tram, it's going to have cameras on it. That's all I'm saying is like there's cameras on everything.
But what about the
Everything has
camera that's in my
cameras.
eyeball right now?
And even if I turn my
Inserted
phone
by the
off,
military.
let's say I turn my phone off and I put it in my pocket thusly. You can't see that because it's a radio show, but it's in my shirt pocket and
But
the
camera's
camera's
looking
sticking
at me.
above
Yeah.
and it's looking above. It's not on. The camera's not on technically, but I watched all kinds of Will Smith movies.
Yeah.
My guess is truth is stranger than fiction. That there's a webcam right there. That webcam could be watching us. We have no idea. So I don't know what the answer is, but yes. So one of Robert's secure military installations, you have to take a tram in. You can't drive your Tesla car there.
What's more of an issue, and this we haven't got, is this device. This is the Apple contact lens that they've already shown. I've seen pictures of it. And this is a contact lens you put on your eye. It connects to your phone, and it gives you augmented reality where it can scroll.
Yes,
it can
please.
see. It can see what you see. And
I just wanted
that's
to say
more of
the
an
person's
issue.
name who I've forgotten.
You know what I want that to do? I want that to see what you see.
That's what's going to happen.
I want to put that thing in, and then I want to see what you're seeing. How about this? Perfect for military installation of this particular thing. You have a squad of 5 or 6 people. Each of them is wearing someone else's vision, so they have they have their shooter buddy, and so they can see their buddies. No, because it would be like 2 screens on your computer, right? You can see both things. You can see like any danger to your buddy and any danger to you. I kind of like it. I think that's pretty cool.
They call it a mixed reality headset, and they're planning
I
on
got some
releasing
mixed
it in
reality.
mid-2022. followed by an augmented reality glasses in 2025. And this was on MacRumors.com.
And that's Apple? That's an Apple product?
Correct.
That's a rumor. It has not been announced. This is a rumor. How are they going to power that bad boy?
With your
Question.
eyeball.
They're going to have a big wire
Blinking.
coming out of your eye.
Blinking.
The one I saw had a very thin ribbon wire that came off of it, which I couldn't tolerate, but I don't know.
I'm not putting like a lithium battery in my eyeball.
There is
I think
a
it's
damn
gonna burn.
There's a Chinese company that's got a box. It looks about the size of maybe a tall 6-pack of beer that you can put in your
beer
living room,
box, as it
and it will charge all of your mobile devices at a distance, like 12 feet. So
Also cook your insides.
And it goes, whoa, whoa.
and that device could charge what's in your head if it was just on your belt. So
How about if they just do it by like every time you blink, it's like it's a regenerative blinking.
as opposed to
I just coined that shit. So if it happens,
as
somebody
opposed
sends me a
to
nickel.
your degenerative thinking.
Did he just call me a degenerate?
Yes.
What the heck,
That
man? This
is-
show is.
That
do a
brings
super-
us to the next story about degeneration.
It does?
That was a joke.
Oh, okay. No, the next story is going to go full circle. We started this episode talking about supercharging, and now we're going to end this episode, sort of, doing the supercharger update. Robert, the last time we were together was about 29 weeks ago.
Oh my
It's been quite a while. It's been quite a while. We did one show the last time we were together. It's our new joke. It's a new
One
thing
show.
that we did one
We
show.
didn't do two shows
We
at the
did
same
one
time.
show,
We did one show.
which had a supercharger update in it, and
it happened to be 2 weeks ago, even though through sort of quark theory, somehow you got an extra talking Tesla a week ago. We don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
We think it's a black hole.
We've been looking into it. We
Yeah.
think it may have something to do with cameras on Tesla's cars going into military installations.
So 2 weeks ago in real space time, since we last met, how many more superchargers?
I'm tired. Well, did I put in how many open superchargers in the document? No, because usually I ask you to tell me.
Okay, open superchargers in the last 2 weeks, 20.
All right, we got a number 20. Now it's up to Joel. Joel? Sorry, Joel.
He's
Are you
getting
feeling under
worse.
the weather? Can you speak up?
Wow.
Okay, Joel. Just go have some tea, get better. You're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. I'm going to say 16.
Oh my God. So let's split the difference, boys.
18.
18.
18, mate.
What number is that?
18.
Ooh, how many is that?
It's just after 17. Before 19.
Oh! I
18.
still have no idea what you're talking about. So 18. Is that
18.
the number?
18 new supercharger stations.
Uh-huh.
And then the question is, what's a cool supercharger station that we want to talk about? The one that got me excited was the one in New Taipei, Taiwan. Taiwan doesn't have many supercharger stations. Of course, the whole island is not very large. And so this station has 3 plugs. Because
3?
again,
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
Wonder how many Teslas are in Taipei. I've been using a new supercharger that opened up in Granada Hills, and I really like it a lot. It's my favorite.
what makes it so favorite of yours?
250 kilowatts.
Do you get 250? Because I'm about to launch into another thing here. Because I went to a supercharger in Palmdale.
No. So I went recently. I was down to like 10 miles of range. So I was prime. I was preconditioning. I was told there were 6 stalls open. And I pull into this, and it is jam-packed with people. I plug in. I think I got to like 113, or I'm sorry, 113. 13? How do you say that? 113. I don't even know how you get those words out of your mouth, to be honest with you. One. I took a picture of it. It was so low. I was very, very frustrated.
I would take 113.
Why?
I was at the Palmdale one. There was
Yes.
almost nobody there. It's a 250 kilowatt charger, and I maxed at 87. There was nobody to be seen. And it's a 2A, 2B thing, which again, I thought that V3s are supposed to be dedicated, and they're not dedicated. And without anybody else there, or very few people there, it's like piss.
Trickle.
But I went another time, and I was 62 miles, and I plugged in. There were less vehicles there, and I got 163.
All right.
But not for very long. So
Yeah.
it was giving me. So I plugged in. This is the thing that really matters more than anything. I was at 62 miles of range. I typically like to charge up to around 260, 280-ish. Not fully charged, but, into the realm. 35 minutes was the estimated time of charging. So that's, that's the really, like, we talk about the 250 and blah, blah, blah. That's awesome and great or whatever, but it doesn't last long even if you can get it. So 35 minutes for 220 miles of range, that's pretty good.
It's okay, but it's not.
What do you want it to be?
200 miles
Supercharged.
in 5 minutes.
What would the charge rate have to be for that?
Fast. Very.
Well, yeah,
actually,
I mean,
very
ladies and
fast.
gentlemen, you come to this show for definitive, informative details, and there you have it. It would have to be
Fast.
Like about 18 kilowatts. Now nobody knows what that number is. So.
Nobody has any
So it's
idea.
18.
all the Australians know. They're like, that's not enough, man.
80's not enough, mate. That's not quite enough there. And have we had any movement at all in Electrify America, Robert?
We have had a skosh of movement.
Ooh, what's a skosh?
Well, it's not a scone. It doesn't
like
taste quite as good. It's not as sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Is it like a
saltier.
bowel movement?
Is it a bowel movement?
A skosh is a bowel movement?
I'm just asking.
Where
for
are
a
you
friend.
from? I'm asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
I'm going to go take
Are you
a
asking
skosh.
for Joel? Did Joel just text you?
I gotta
Asking
take
if
a
a skosh
skosh.
was a bowel movement?
Oh my goodness.
I like
So,
that. Actually, I like that. Let's go take a skosh. I gotta. Can I use your bathroom? I gotta drop a skosh.
Man,
Why does anybody listen to this show?
You know, the problem is that, and I'll talk about Electrify America in 1 second. It's
Will
just
you?
that I dropped all of these letters into the show notes and you guys read them, like the guy who called us a bunch of clowns, and you're just emulating it. You're making it all so.
First off, he called 3 of us clowns. He did not specify which one of us wasn't a clown. He's left that open for debate, and we shall debate it.
Electrify America has had a bit of movement. We've gone from 556 stations to 569 stations. So that's a 13.
Look at you. I'm teaching you a new language. It's like Duolingo up in here. It's amazing.
So we had 18 and 13.
13. Okay.
So 13 is not bad compared to 18. Mm-hmm. The number of stalls has increased a skosh. The CCS, the full charge high rate, went from 1,856 stations to 1,892. And the Chatamo combo stations have gone from 552 to 565.
I'm leaving this show now. I don't know what. I have no
upsetting.
idea what these numbers are. They make no sense. But so, in a nutshell, basically, Tesla is still outbuilding Electrify America.
It is.
Even though Electrify America is way behind, even on a not on a percentage basis, but on a raw numbers, Tesla is continuing to outbuild Electrify America. So, Mel, this is for you.
Yes, sir.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Electrify America. Let's go. Let's spend that Volkswagen money. Let's get this stuff on the road.
Especially since we didn't talk about one of the stories that was floating about was how Volkswagen was going to crush Tesla in the EV market.
Yeah.
And if they are going to do any kind of even smushing or nudging
Smushing or nudging?
or snuggling up against
Or skoshing?
they need to
They were gonna
skosh out a bunch
gonna
of chargers.
Drop a skosh on them. You know who could potentially do well in this area is Rivian. Did you see the map of the planned Rivian chargers?
Yes.
It looks fantastic. It looks a lot like the supercharger map for Tesla, but with the addition of, and you'll like this, Tom. You will like this, Tom, with the addition of charging infrastructure around national parks and the such for the people who are going to take their Rivians and go to the campies.
So, okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, why was this
It's
upsetting?
good. No, it's not upsetting, but I'm going to ask you, gentlemen. Like, so we're entering this period, right? Where, okay, Rivian's got a bunch of money. Electrify America's got a bunch of money. I don't know. I'm assuming that Rivian does CCS, but I have no idea. Is it specifically CCS? Are we going to have the Tesla charging infrastructure locked down to only Tesla, and then another infrastructure locked down to only Rivian, and then Electrify America being sort of open, I guess not sort of, being open to all EVs. Do you not see this as a long-term problem in some ways?
Yes, it could be. So I was angry when Tesla had said we're going to have our own charging infrastructure. And I'm like, no, you should go with the standard. But they were right, because the standard was too slow and wasn't being built out. So they had to do it. At some point, hopefully, governments will get on board and we'll have so many chargers, this will be old school. We won't care. But I get why they want to do it themselves, because waiting for other people to come along and do it?
Well, I remember when Tesla representatives at some event that I was at talked about the twisting or twister-like game activity they went through trying to get GM on board and Ford and the other OEM manufacturers to decide on a charging standard. There's this thing called the handshake, which when you plug your car in anywhere, the car has to identify the type of power coming to it. Is it AC or DC? What's the capacity of the power? Things even around temperature, all of the details to safely charge your car at a maximum rate. Nobody else would agree with Tesla, and Tesla, I'm sure, in Elon-like vertical control fashion, said, screw this. We're just going to make our own. And we're going to make it work as best as it can be made. And they've continued to lead on that. But it would be so nice if there was one standard, like in Europe, CCS.
And it looks like the Rivian is CCS. Robert, I'm going to show you a photograph. That's a CCS, correct?
Correct.
So that is on the Rivian.
Oh, that's good.
So the Rivian is going to be CCS. So I guess technically they're building a CCS infrastructure. But will that infrastructure be locked down to only Rivian is I guess, the overall question. And again, we had this conversation when we talked about Santa Monica. Should they be forced to open it up to any vehicles, to any CCS vehicles? I don't think that's the answer.
I don't think that's the answer, but I do think that there should be, if you're going to do a Rivian supercharger, a Tesla supercharger, some reasonable percent should be multiple heads for different electric cars that you have to have out there as well. And you can even charge for it. That's fine. But since you're building the infrastructure out there anyway, chuck in a couple of others for the poor people who don't drive a Tesla or
should
Rivian.
We just bite the bullet right now, force Tesla, Tesla uses CCS on their European vehicles, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they're using CCS on the Chinese vehicles. Am I wrong, right? I don't know the answer to that question.
They have their own standard in China.
A different one?
Yes.
That's super helpful.
Because, but to know, it's not purposeful in that they want to be different. It's just that the way electricity is delivered in Europe, in the United States, and in China is different. There's phasing, like how many wires they use and how they phase the electricity, right? It comes in sine waves.
That's fair.
And what is the baseline voltage? Mm-hmm. It's all different in these three regions. Why they can't standardize those regions? Well, it's because every appliance and every plug and everything in two of the three regions would have to change.
Right, but the CCS, the port itself could be the same, theoretically. At least
it wouldn't work.
In the States, could every vehicle in the States, in the U.S., have the same CCS?
Yeah, I think arguably every car could have the same plug, and every car could plug into each region's voltage parameters or power parameters, with the proper software. And so that would require probably, Tesla to invest in something that they don't have to, and also other car companies. But yeah, I think there should be a standard. Like a gasoline car has a hole in which you stick a nozzle and you pump liquid. But not all of those holes will take diesel or regular or premium gas. They do have some differences. You can't put regular gas into a diesel car.
You can accidentally do it. You sure as hell can.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that from experience, or maybe I do. I don't know what to tell you about that. But yes, they're close to the same side.
On the upside, I think that's a good discussion about how they should do this. But the map, Tom, looks...
The map of the Rivian map?
Rivian looks really
What are you
robust.
most excited about? Like, what are they?
I'm excited about Rivian, and I'm going to tell you this. I was like, I'm a Tesla guy, and I'm a Tesla guy in large part because of the supercharger network. But I would consider a Rivian.
Oh.
Now that I see this charging network, if they do this charging network and they have some of the toys that the Rivian has, and if Tesla doesn't have those similar toys, that would actually make me think, well, maybe a Rivian would be the thing to get instead of an X.
And not next week, the next couple of weeks, we're going to do the four of us, if Joel ever decides to come back to the show, or if we let him
Not
back
after
into
the way
show.
you treated him, but fine.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Are going to go through all of the truck offerings that are going to be available. We're going to do some comparisons. We're going to compare the Cyber and the Rivian, and there's a new potential little mini truck that just came out, and we're going to look, and we're just going to kind of say, like, okay, it feels like this truck, maybe even SUV segment. We'll throw in some Volkswagen-y kind of things, and we'll go through and we'll do a little compare and contrast kind of situation. But I guess the Rivian, for you, the Rivian, is it going to charge fast enough? Is the charging going to be robust enough? Where are they going to build from? Like, what is their plan as you know it right now?
I'm just looking at the map, Tom, and I just see 3,500 fast chargers at 600 plus sites by the end of 2023, and it looks robust. There's a lot of dots, particularly in California, which I like.
Is that map include all three levels of the chargers that they're planning?
I don't know.
Because my understanding from looking at the article I've put in here from Electric.
Oh yeah, people are missing that, by the way. We got a letter about it. You got to do that more often.
Okay, there you go.
Rivian reveals impressive map of over 600 planned fast charging stations and wall charger. They're going to do the same strategy as Tesla. Tesla has the supercharger network. Rivian has the adventure network. Tesla has destination network. Rivian has waypoints. Tesla has a wall connector. Rivian has a wall charger.
Oh, very different.
I wish they would connect to the wall charger.
But this is 3,500 fast chargers.
That's a lot.
3,500.
Yeah, that's not
They have
25,000, but
they have at least one on every single island in the chain of Hawaiian islands. Crazy.
I got to tell you, just psychologically, am I wrong or am I wrong?
those are the same things.
Rivian wasn't even in consideration. I thought, oh, this is really interesting, blah, 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 but I'm not going to get it because of the charging infrastructure. Now they say this, I'm like, damn, I'm going to look at a Rivian.
Yeah, but I mean, but also the CCS. There's a lot of CCS around there. There's a lot of CCS out in the wild,
which could make it even better for the Rivians and the dollars of my pocket.
If the Rivian, okay, let me ask you this. We do this a lot. What's it going to take?
What's it going to take to get you into a Rivian?
To get you in a Rivian, like what when the Rivian comes out, we're gonna put aside what it costs because we know that's not going to matter. We're gonna what are the specs that's going to make you say, I don't need this Model Y anymore? Because that's what it's going to be. You're going to have to get rid of one that you already have. It's going to have to be one of the Teslas. It's going to have to say bye-bye.
500 miles range. Boom. Herbert is like, wait a second. Infrastructure, good charging infrastructure.
Okay, so 500 miles. So now we're gonna have to throw price in because you brought it up to exactly the same amount of range as the truck of Cyber.
Yes.
Okay, so 500 miles range. And that's it?
I don't see myself driving the Cyber truck. It's too big. And I don't need a truck. The SUV form would still be better.
Too big? You think it's going to feel bigger than a Rivian?
Yep.
I disagree.
Well, you know about trucks, Tom.
And the Rivian has got a lot of toys and stuff in there. I think it's a really interesting vehicle. Now, the downside to it compared to the Model Y is the Model Y has got to be way more efficient. And one thing I like when I plug in at home, and I notice this when I plug in the X, you get 48 amps and you're getting like 30 miles of range per kilowatt hour or per hour. And then I plug in the Y and I get 48. So that efficiency means that I don't have to have as big a solar panels and I don't have to generate as much solar energy to charge up the two cars. So efficiency is important. So I'll have to see how efficient it is.
Right.
Have they got any tricks up there?
What's
So,
your
'cause it'd be
current
big-
efficiency? Do you know? You have an idea? General ballpark?
per mile, about 0.25 kilowatts per mile. About that, around that.
0.25. Okay.
So
all right.
there you go.
So we
but the
know.
Rivian wasn't even in contention. Now it's at least getting a look.
A look-see.
Wow.
I like it. Do you have a deposit on a Riv?
Nope.
All right. Fair enough.
Would you buy full autopilot if it was offered in a Rivian for $8,000, but not
Would he?
yet functional?
No, I'm done.
Oh,
Bought it
that's
now.
the news of the show.
Bought it enough.
He's not done.
Oh my God.
There's no way he's done.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's not
I've bought
done.
it
I know him well.
Is your
too.
wife getting full autopilot in her upcoming X with the yoke?
Well, the yoke is going to be a deal breaker for her, so they better have a non-yoke version. And I'm
That's
hoping
no
that
yoke.
they. I don't think she needs it. She doesn't want it really.
She doesn't need a yoke?
The autopilot.
The
I think
autopilot.
he's
And I
full
only buy
self, not
self-driving
autopilot. But
for
here's the
fun.
question: at this point, feature to feature, right? There's very few features available in what comes with the car, so you almost have to get full self-driving to get a lot of the features that you take for granted right now.
Oh. Well,
Right.
hopefully they do the lease because we leased the X and hopefully they'll do the lease of the full self-driving. Because I don't want to drop 10 grand up front for something that...
No, that'll be fun. I can't wait.
Can we
for
do
it.
media picks?
Yeah, do you got one?
I just had one other question.
Is it for me or for Mel?
It's for both of you. Actually, it's for Joel.
If it's for Joel.
Joel,
Good, this will be quick.
if full self-driving costs $10,000, and the average, like if you get a car and you lease it, right? You lease it for typically 3 years.
Correct.
Because that's kind of like the amount of time most people own a car. So if you're going to subscribe to full self-driving and it's $10,000 and it's 36 months, you'll likely keep your car. That comes out to like $280 a month. How would they price full self-driving for a rental or a leasing or somehow a payment plan? That was my question.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Thinking about what Joel just said, I think.
But he didn't say
Joel
anything.
Joel didn't say it.
He
We're not.
wasn't
Oh, we
here.
weren't going to cut it in.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Forget
Joel's
it
not.
then.
Joel's not here.
Screw it.
Joel's not here. That requires editing. Editing is money. Money is, well, it's money.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It would cost as much as a month of
but
full
I
self-driving.
think it is an interesting question. My guess is that's going to be a different answer for a lot of people. But if I was Tesla, the real question for them at that point would be, what's the sweet spot that they can get most people to pay them? Right? Because they're putting it on all the vehicles. They know they're leasing these vehicles for 3 years. They know you can't keep it, right? I'm assuming they're still doing that situation where you don't get to keep the car at the end of the 3-year lease period or whatever.
Right.
So they just really have to try to maximize revenue at that point. So is it like $49 a month? Is that $59 a month? Is that $79 a month?
You know, did we even talk about the fact that they don't have level 5, level 4 coming? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, they're not doing it. I mean,
Did we talk about-
personally, I've been talking about that for years. I don't know if you guys have been paying any attention.
I think we might talk about that in another show.
We'll probably
I think
talk
we
about
need
that
to
next
spend
week.
like an hour on talking about how pissed people are going to be if that's actually what's happening. They've sold us a bill of goods.
Yeah, let's talk about that next
Are you
show.
just waking up to this fact now, Mel?
Yeah.
Well, I just thought I couldn't remember whether we talked about
No,
it
we
before,
didn't.
but
we're,
we need to explode
We're going to talk about
that
it next
topic.
week on Talking Tesla. We're going to
Look,
talk
media
about it.
pick, The Expanse, okay? It's long. It's going to be a while. It's going to be like Ozarks. Get used to it, Talking Tesla Universe. It's going to be the pick every week for a long time. And I want to thank Michael for his referral. He bought a car. He put my name on it.
What?
Michael.
And I got some
Disappointed.
supercharging miles.
Disappointed.
Because
in you.
Michael is a good man. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks,
That's
Michael.
You know
awesome.
who you
That
are.
is good.
You're a good person. You sent me an email. I can't find it. I wanted to read it, but I can't.
My
But
feelings
thank
are
you.
a little bit hurt, but I understand. I can't have all the referrals.
Yeah, you got me looking at my loot box where I've got not that much.
I looked already.
My
today.
referrals. Do I have any referrals?
I'm still, my last referral is still the wonderful and lovely Stephanie.
Yeah, I haven't had anything this year. My last was a canceled
Do you have a media
order.
pick, Robert?
Yes, in fact,
Because you didn't put it in the doc.
I didn't. I need to put it in the doc because I wanted to put in the media pick, but I was too busy listening to my media pick.
Is this show?
It's another one. It's another one of the Expanse series books. I'm not sure how far you are along in the Expanse story, but I just finished Nemesis Games, which is the 1, 2, 3,
How would
4,
you pronounce
fifth book.
18.
Nemesis Games is 18.
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
It's a nemesis.
It's a nemesis.
Mel's my nemesis.
It was good. It was very good. It was a little bit dark and a little bit sad, and I was
Dark and sad.
listening to that one and your media pick, Tom, which is still to come. And between those two stories, I was just so depressed I had to turn them off and continue to enjoy my weekend in Ojai, California.
You must be talking about another media pick because there's no way you were listening to Inner Space.
No, it wasn't. But I thought you had a different media pick.
No, I mean, I go with media.
You went with a movie that you had to turn off, or that wasn't a pick because it was so bad.
We'll have to talk about that. I'm going with Inner Space because before the show that we don't record before the show, we were talking a little bit of vaccine, and Mel was bringing up that somebody that he knows, a human being, actually said to him that the vaccinational situational thing that's happening right now with where they're putting like a chip in you, and it brought up my memory of the movie Inner Space, which apparently is an homage to Fantastic Voyage. It's like you don't even pay attention.
Well, I'm getting texted and I'm completely distracted.
Trying to make a show here.
I'm trying to answer texts here.
All right. So Inner Space with one of the Quaid brothers. And it's about a guy who gets injected into another human body. And he's going in there to try to fix all kinds of cool things. It's executive produced by the mind of Steven Spielberg. So, it's going to be good. So that's my media pick for this week. And now, the thing that everybody waits for now is the 5-star letters being read. Now,
So remind everybody that if you go on...
You remind everybody.
If you go on Apple iTunes and you look up Talking Tesla and you give us a 5-star review...
If you go on what? Apple what?
Podcast.
Okay.
Apple iTunes.
No. Don't see what? It's podcasts. It's
Really?
not iTunes. It's Apple Podcasts.
When did
Things
that
have
change?
changed.
Of like a year and a half ago.
Serious?
At least.
Oh my
Probably
God.
longer than that. And it's funny because I listened to another podcast and the host of that show also cannot ever get it right. So we don't care
good
where
company.
we don't care where you listen to this show. Spotify,
Oh,
tune
yeah, look.
in,
It's
whatever,
purple.
whatever it
with
is.
the circles, and it's called podcast.
Yeah, I'm aware. That's what I'm talking about right now. Thanks for sharing that information with me. It's Apple Podcasts. You go to Apple Podcasts,
Yes.
you leave a 5-star review.
Yes.
And one of us will read that letter. One of us, we started with it being Mel.
Yes, we did.
And then we decided that was a terrible idea. Terrible idea because, well, sometimes he just doesn't care.
I'm hard of reading.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you really.
So let me do the first one by S. Dutcher.
We already did that one at the top of the show.
All right, then
You
we're
want to do it
done.
again?
No, that's fine.
You want to do that one because it's about your show.
It's about nothing. I want to do this one where this person
Don't.
gives
No.
their referral
No.
code like 20 times
Yeah, but
and then signs as another person and does it again.
Yeah, so we talked about that at the front of the show. This person tried to trick us into giving out his referral code on this
I
very,
think he was
very
trying
show.
to be funny.
Yeah, but then I ask you if we use this, we
No,
read this verbatim.
We're not going to read his bottom.
And he gets the referrals. You'll be sad, and I'll have to come and hug you.
Let me do this. Let me read it without that bit.
Oh, please.
And this
Wonder
is
if you
by
can do
Drock 002.
That is correct.
If you're thinking about purchasing a Tesla in the near future, please ignore all other referral codes mentioned on this podcast, and use beep. That is beep. Now, after I finish saying this, you may hear us shout a bunch of other referral codes
And garbage.
but please ignore them. So please use beep. That is beep, 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 beep. Anyone using this referral may or may not be granted eternal good luck. Thank you.
I like the fact that he added that eternal good luck thing at the end. And I will
Yes.
say 5 stars review of your review.
Yeah.
5-star review of your review.
I think it's very clever.
Nicely done. But
thought it was
we outsmarted you a little bit.
Of course, I love how he said, at the end, that is beep, 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 and he spells it all out, every little bit of
his
it.
name. And then, so the next 5-star review comes from Matt Valiant. I believe it is Valiant because
I
there's
like
an
it.
I before the double L.
He's
Valiant.
very molecular.
He's prevalient.
Yeah.
So this one's for me.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
It's a great listen. Went out on a drive in a Tesla. I've been listening since 2018 when I found the podcast in the iTunes section of my Model 3. And I've been enjoying it ever since. I've always been entertained and I learn a few things here. A particular highlight is Mel's Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation.
Is it now?
It's hard to go from one
Don't
to
do it.
another.
Don't judge us.
I also appreciate the fact that although there definitely flags with Tesla, they are relatively fair in the assessment of the company. For example, Tom's opinion of full self-driving.
What have you turned into with your Arnold? It's horrible.
Oh, no,
right
it's
now.
really...
so bad.
I'd say the only real issue I have is that on a recent episode, there was a real struggle by Mel to properly read some text on air. I imagine it would be a struggle for you, for any of the hosts, to properly read common words out loud, like the Hawaiian fish, the humungaluga kuka puka, or the Welsh town of Lung Farkendugan Schnick Other than that, the show is great.
Humu humu nuku nuku apua.
Wow.
Yes. When I was in
That
Hawaii,
That was painful to watch.
Wow.
Actually.
watch me or
No,
Mel?
to watch him read that.
Yeah, I know.
Huma,
I want to
una.
humu humu nuku nuku apua.
That is the state fish of Hawaii.
It is. It's a beautiful fish.
Bet you didn't know that.
No, I did not.
I didn't even have to Google that.
Yeah. Humu humu.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah. And I don't know the Welsh town of, I'm not even going to try.
The Welsh have these ridiculously long
Did you-
nodes.
I used to have
and
a
they
s-
mean things like, this is the town by the river near the fish under the blue sky. And so they're like stupid long.
When I went to Wales and I got like you stop in a parking lot and you go pay in a machine and they give you a little sticker that you stick on your car that shows that you paid to park. And the peel off part had a little image of a woman with a seatbelt on, and it was all in Welsh. And it was just like 5 lines, and I couldn't even pronounce it. And then I went and asked somebody, what does this say? And it said, please wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, that's good. That's
was
a
great.
lot of there's a lot of consonants
Yes.
in this particular situation. And the next 5-star review comes from Jimis05. If you are thinking about purchasing a Tesla in the near future, please ignore all the other referral codes mentioned on this podcast and use boop. That is boop. Now, after I finish saying this, you may hear us shout a bunch of other referral codes such as Laney9300. I'm going to throw that in the middle of this.
Yeah. Robert 31.
Or Robert 3177 or Mel.
I don't know.
Okay, there we go. And all those referral codes are garbage, but please ignore them. So I repeat, please use a boop. That is D boop R boop boop 7 boop boop boop. You got a little closer that time, buddy. You got a little closer that time.
Wait, it's almost done, right? Anyone using this referral code may or may not be granted eternal good luck.
May or may
Thank
not.
you.
I'm going to say
That was pretty creative, though.
not.
Robert, your turn.
Entertaining, balanced, informative.
This from BWS2A.
If I had to choose a single Tesla podcast to listen to, I would definitely choose this one. It feels like hanging out and chatting with a bunch of friendly, slightly silly folks. Light and a bit zany, but not vapid. It is a fan club of sorts, and the outlook is positive with a dash of realism. And the topics are the most relevant and interesting recent Tesla news. And Mel's accents are themselves worth listening to for the show 6 stars.
Thank you, BSW2A.
He can't even read. He can't even read that right.
18.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna read one more.
You got to read them all.
I'm going to read them all, but I'm going to read one more on this show, and then the rest of them we're going to read on next week's show.
When are we doing next show?
We'll
About
be
a
next
week or so?
week. Yeah, we'll be back in about a week. So I'm going to read. This one is from Easer. Somehow It Works is the title of this 5-star review. Didn't start great, but it does get better. This podcast consists of 3 clowns who are like nails on a chalkboard, and one simply brilliant person who is a joy of a listen and is reading this email right now.
No, he didn't.
I'll leave the specific roles to your imagination. So I'll read that again. I'm sorry. This podcast consists of 3 clowns who are like nails on a chalkboard and one simply brilliant person who is a joy of a listen. I'll leave the specific roles to your imagination. Yet somehow, when you put them all together, they weave a magical web of genius that is pure entertainment. I truly enjoy their honest opinions on Tesla, SpaceX, and life in general. I look forward to every episode and am always sad when they're over. There are a plethora of Tesla podcasts. Why is that word so hard? From which to choose. This is one of the 2 that have earned my loyal following. Cheers.
You know what that means? This dude's drunk.
No.
He's saying cheers. He's already like 6 into it.
There's probably
Hammered.
Probably just a
Thanks,
lovely...
Mom.
He's actually... Thanks, Mom.
Easer. That's Easer.
Easer.
But really, the question is, so there's a recently they added that there's 3 clowns and a simply brilliant person. Now, I'm sure if I went around the room,
We know who it is.
the multiple narcissistic personality disorders that are part of this show, and Joel's not here, would all take credit for being the simply brilliant person who is a joy of a listen. I mean, a joy of a listen.
I think that's a T-shirt we're going to have to start
There's
wearing.
no possible
I'm
way
the
it smells.
joy of a
There's
listen.
no possible way it smell. I think it's you, though.
Who?
You, Robert.
I'm the joy of a listen?
I think it must be.
Oh. Why are you trying to get into my pants?
It can't be me.
Shut him down.
It can't possibly be me.
You don't think it's sap?
It's not Joel.
Because of the hold on with the crown?
It's not Joel.
He's lost it because of the crown?
It can't be Joel.
my
Unless
God.
Ebenezer is Mrs. Sap.
Oh.
Is this a plant? Is this a sap
I
plant?
wonder.
No, I won't say. I will not disparage Ebenezer by saying it's a sap plant. I don't believe it,
Sap
but I
plant.
do believe there's no way it's you, Herbert. There's no way.
I don't-
You sleep through half of the shows.
That is really joyous. To some people. Oh, Herbert's gone. That's delicious.
There's no way it's me because I'm a joy to absolutely nothing.
No, it can't be you.
It can't
It
be me.
cannot be you.
So
Can we end this?
yeah, it's over.
That's the end of
That's
the
it.
show.
That's it.
That
It's
was
over.
Talking Tesla 197.
7.
It's hard to
What's
keep
that
up.
middle word? Nai?
Oh, 197. God, every Australian
All right, it's over.
hates me right now.
This show is over.
It was.
Thank you for
started
listening.
It was
slowly
funny the
and
second
didn't
time.
get-
Yeah, thanks for listening. Be
Have
good.
a great week.
Be good to one another. We'll see you.
We'll see you in about 10 minutes. I mean, a week.
See you.
God's
For talking
sakes.
Tesla one night. You're giving away all our secrets.